But we start with our Newsmaker segment and talk with one of the new members of the Kansas legislature. Joy Costin of Leawood won the House seat in the 28th District in her first run for elective office. She based her campaign on three key issues: tax structure, education, and local control. Representative Costin is a Republican, a college professor with a doctorate in communications study. Representative Costin, welcome to Ruckus. Thanks for coming in. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Mike. It's terrific to be here.
Was there any one event or one issue that made you say, you know, I've thought about this, I'm going to do it, I'm going to run?
Well, funny enough, I had not really given it serious thought until about a year ago in December, and I kept trying to understand some of the crazy policy decisions that were being made by the previous legislature. And my husband and I had a very pivotal moment one day when he looked at me. He said, "Joy, posting things on Facebook isn't going to change anything. If you really want to change something, then run for office." And I kind of shook my head and said, "Oh, whatever." And then I happened to say the same thing to a group of women in my community at a gathering, and I said, "You know, some days I just get so frustrated. I think I should run for office." And they cornered me, and they said, "Well, we think you should too." And that was the beginning of conversations that led me to decide to run.
And you ran in a primary against the Republican incumbent in the district. You won the primary. There was no Democratic opponent, so you didn't have to run in the general election.
That is true.
Now, there are different brands of Republicans we hear about in Kansas, either conservatives or moderate. Are you the more moderate in terms of Republican philosophy?
Yes, I am joining a wonderful cohort of moderate Republicans and Democrats who really want to face our problems in Kansas and try to figure out common sense solutions to making our state function the way that we think it should function.
What do you think the essential difference is between a conservative Republican and a Republican like you, a moderate Republican?
Well, I think moderate Republicans are worried about fiscal policy. They're really trying to understand what's the best interest of the state. We're not as concerned with social issues. We're more focused on what it is we need to run the state effectively. Being interested in finding that balanced tax formula.
Would you say you're more pragmatic?
Much more pragmatic about getting the job done, understanding what the problems are. I don't think that we truly understand what the problems are.
Let's talk about some problems. You said the tax structure needs to be changed. Mm-hmm. What do you want to change?
Well, I think one of the first things that has to happen is we have to roll back the loophole on the LLC. It's not just the LLC issue, but for example, my husband and I own a business in Overland Park. We received that tax cut.
Did you have to take it?
I suppose we could have given it back, but that never came.
So you want to see a rollback of the LLC exemption?
Absolutely. We don't have enough money to run the services of the state.
And there are 300 and some thousand people who have taken advantage of that and who simply followed the law as you did.
Absolutely.
You also expressed concern about local control. Local control of what?
Well, I think, first of all, school finance. If we don't have the ability to use that local option budget to raise the taxes in our communities to help educate our children the way we wish to educate them, I think it inhibits us. Blue Valley schools in particular, Shawnee Mission schools certainly have to stay above.
Just to clarify, there is a local option budget, but
you
want to make it higher, exactly right?
I think it has to be within the will of the people of the communities to decide whether or not they wish to be taxed more for a better base for education.
Overall in Kansas, you think schools are insufficiently financed?
I do.
Do you expect Supreme Court to order about $500 million more for education?
I do.
How do you expect the state to pay for it? What do you want to cut, or how do you think that money is going to become available?
I think that is the big question. How will we do that?
Well, I'm glad I asked the big question.
I think everybody that I talk to says, "Well, what do you want to fix in Kansas?" I said, "Well, you can't do anything until you fix the budget, and the budget can't be fixed quickly." So until we have comprehensive tax reform that levels the playing field, that we are able to actually raise enough revenue to do what's necessary in the state, we aren't going to fix anything.
Got to wrap this up. Quick answer. The session starts next week. Are you optimistic?
I am, because I think there are tremendous opportunities, and we have a wonderful coalition of people going up. We have 47 new legislators going up in a week, and I think that everybody is very excited about being able to work together. So
All right.
I am optimistic.
Thanks very much for coming in. You'll have to come back and see us when the session is over and tell us if it was a success or not.
Thanks. I hope I get to do so.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that was Kansas State Representative Joy Costin. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus.